Were you like me and wondering why Kaydianna MacKenzie left so suddenly at the very end of season 2 of the Netflix show America's Sweethearts, Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders?
What happened was I was on TikTok Live. People ask about Bahamas. People ask about Shondi. I'm gonna make a video on that one day. One day I will talk about the whole thing.
For the first time ever, Kaydianna is talking about it publicly. In part 2 of my interview, we spill the tea on all the drama and chaos that happened behind the scenes, things you never saw on camera. This is the episode you do not want to miss on the AU Plus podcast.
I think the biggest thing was there was a lot that happened that year, and it was a lot of unknowns. A lot of unknowns and a lot of things that I don't think necessarily the organization has ever gone through without people knowing. And with Netflix in their faces, I think it was one of those things where it's like, okay, what are we gonna do? We are broadcasted across the world, and how are we going to portray this certain problem, and how are we going to find a solution really fast? And basically, as you can see in the show on Netflix, a problem happened with one of our teammates, and she brought in a guy while we were in the Bahamas on a team trip into one of the girls' rooms. And I think for a lot of people, it was just more about safety, just because no one honestly knew who this guy was. We were more worried about if he set up like cameras or all of our stuff was out. No one knew anything. And honestly, this person was my best friend at the time. And I didn't know how to help the situation because I was the last person to know about it. Like, I wasn't told anything. And so I think a lot of trust was broken in that 1 month. And I remember speaking with her after everything kind of went down because a lot of people were coming to me for answers because she was my best friend. So I was like, I don't know anything, guys. I don't know. And so a lot of people went to me. It was not that she was just my best friend. Um, her roommate was also like my little sister. And so I had two people in the same room with all this happening, and that's why a lot of people were coming to me for answers. And it was as if I was trying to mend everybody else's emotions and not my own. And I would go to my friend and be like, "Can you just tell me why? Why'd you do it? What's happening?" kind of thing. Like, I want to be here for you, but I'm gonna need you to just like tell me the truth. Just tell me the truth. And I think our friendship kind of faded just because the truth wasn't told to me multiple times, and multiple people came up to me giving me evidence and all this stuff of she was telling me lies the whole time. And that's kinda why our friendship faded. And then my little sister, on the other hand, I had to go to her and mend her because she had no clue that, a guy was in a room and she was by herself sometimes. So, like, she was just overwhelmed, and I was trying to be there for her, and she felt hurt because she wasn't told and all the different things. And I finally got to a place where I was with my husband, and I just broke down, and he was like, "What's going on?" And I was just like, "I feel like I'm checking on everybody else, but I truly haven't even figured out my emotions to this whole situation." At this point, we came back from the Bahamas, and no one had answers. We didn't know what was going to happen to our teammate, because in our contract, it does state you're not allowed to give our address to specific people for safety reasons. So we had no clue what was going to happen. Um, and it was just a lot. I was at that point, I was losing my best friend, my leader. It was like, oh, I don't know what to do. And from there, I think it was a bunch of suppressed emotions for me that I had to hide, and I had to put on this front. And kind of like what I told you earlier, it's just in an organization, because you have Netflix and cameras all over, they have to present themselves in the best way for the organization. And so we have to be a part of that. And I think that's really hard because then you have to press down some of your feelings and just have a big smile on your face and pretend like everything's okay when you're actually hurting. And from there, I took over for my friend. She was first
When you say
leader.
took over, like a leadership role?
So she was the first leader and I was the second leader. So I took over. And I remember that moment because you could hear a pin drop in the studio. She wasn't there, and I had no clue what was happening. It wasn't as if they pulled me aside and brought me in the office and said, "Hey, this is what's happening. You're gonna step into this role." Nor did I get like, "Hey, do you want this role?" Yeah. But nor like I didn't get any of that. We all learned together as a team, and so I was just standing there, and then from there, it was as if nothing happened, and then we had to go into practice, and they were like, "Take over." I was like, "What do you mean take over?" Like, "So you just told me my best friend may not be coming back. I don't know what's happening, and now I just have to pretend like everything's okay, and I know what I'm doing, and I have a whole group of girls that are looking to me now, and then I have rookies who I have to try to make this seem like this is normal for their first
And she
year."
wasn't there?
She was not there
Okay.
that day,
Mhm.
and I just remember going to my group, and I was being so serious with them, and I just started bawling, and I was like, "I'm gonna need some grace. I'm gonna need some grace today because I didn't know this was happening. I didn't know." And I had a great group. I love them so much. I couldn't have done the rest of the season without them, and I don't think a lot of people know when this happened in the show. It may look like it was at the very end of the season, but it wasn't. We were going into like the thick of it. So we were going to Thanksgiving, into Christmas. It was our busy season. And so I remember that night when I was named the leader, I had to stay after already because the leaders were supposed to meet for Thanksgiving. And I was like, "Okay, can I call my husband? Can I don't know what, I don't know what's happening." And from there, I think the biggest thing for me was throughout the season, my teammate did come back and she decided to end Emma go through with the rest of her season. It was her last season anyways. She was a 6th year, so she knew this was gonna be it. And she came back, and so that was already uncomfortable for me just because not only was she my leader, she was my friend, and it was one of those things where no one helped me with that transition. Like, I remember reaching out and be like, "How do I handle this situation?" And they're like, I I remember I received this quote from a staff member, and she said, "This is gonna be uncomfortable for anyone. It's only gonna be you. Everyone else should be fine."
Hmm.
And that was the advice that I got from how can I do this? What help can I get? And that's all I received was, "You figure it out."
So when she came back, were you still a leader?
So when she came back, I was in I was in her role.
Mhm.
So mm, she stepped back and then I went into her role. Um, and so that was already like, "Okay, let's try to make this
Mhm.
as seamless as possible," because our group already had a dynamic and then it all switched. And now we have to pretend like everything is normal and that this has happened from the beginning of the season. And I've always been your leader when your other leader is standing right there. And so it's just like a very hard situation. And um, I had no help. I just literally was just me trying to figure it out. And it was to a point where finally throughout the season, and I know a lot of people ask me this because in the documentary, I say something along the lines of it was as if she got the perks and I got the work. And when I meant that, it was more of perks of nothing changed for her other than her stepping back. Other than that, nothing changed for her. For me, everything changed. And then I had a new workload and I had to do everything by myself. And I didn't have staff members checking in on me. I I was going through my own things mentally. And I know that they were focused on her just because she had different mental health things that she was going through. But I think when you're in a role like a director of an organization with 36 girls, I think you need to know that there are probably other people going through mental health things as well. And for me, during that time, I was actually going through a really bad depression period that no one knew about because I was always smiling Kaydianna, and I'm here for you if you need me kind of thing. And then piled on top of all of this, and seeing that staff members were checking in on her because they've given her that space to open up, but not on me, and not realizing that I was going through things that hurt. It was like, I'm doing everything that I can to please y'all, and it seems like it's not enough. And anyways, all that to say, I remember going up to staff members and finally I was like, how about this? I'll go up to them and tell them that I'm struggling. Because at that moment, too, people were starting to bully me and my friend Klein, who went into the second leader position. And they started to bully us and harass us online. And they were saying, you guys don't deserve those roles. Why? Because I remember we posted because DCC never posted anything, so they tried to it was almost like we were trying to keep everything, like, hush hush about it, like, which I understand, like, the transition is hard, but for us, it felt like we had to hide that we were stepping into that leadership role. And so I remember us posting on our story. We're like, "Let's not do a hard post, we'll just post on our story." 24 hours, 24 hours, and we got roasted.
What'd you say on there?
Oh, it was just literally a picture of me. I was holding up a 1 and she was holding up a 2 on my back. And I think we said, 1 and 2, like, coming at you or something like that. Something really chill. And people took that, and I was getting DMs saying, thought that she was your best friend. How could you do that to her? Like, you're rubbing that position in her face. And, you know, she walked so you could run, and all these things that I was like,
Which I'm assuming didn't help because you're already going
I was already going through
mentally.
stuff. Yes. And I was just like, I'm like, I had to step in this position. I didn't force anyone out. I didn't do anything wrong. And of course, at this time, no one knew what was going on. No one knew about the Bahamas yet. So it was literally just like Kaydianna took over her best friend's spot, and she's a terrible person because now she's posting that she's a leader. Like, how dare her, kind of thing. I was like, am I not allowed to celebrate where God has put me anymore? Like, I felt like I had to hide so much. And so I went to the staff members and I told them, like, I'm getting bullied. I'm getting harassed, and, like, I'm not okay. And the advice I received then was to look up song lyrics to help myself feel better.
Mm.
And I was like,
Which song would that be?
not at liberty to say, but I was just like, all right. And they're like, you're strong enough. That's all I got. And they're like, okay, bye. I was like, okay. And so that didn't work out for me. So it was just another layer of almost, okay, I finally like gave my heart to them, and they just gave it right back. And they didn't do anything with it. They didn't protect
And was
it.
it still mid-season-ish?
It was, yes.
Okay.
It was,
So did you actually quit the team more mid-season?
no, not yet. So basically, we went through Thanksgiving, Christmas, got to end of season, all football games were done. And throughout this whole time, I told you earlier that I love going on TikTok live, and that's how I engage with people. I just love talking. and and probably starting November, when I did take over the role, a lot of people, when I was on live, that's all they would ask about. What happened in the Bahamas? And people already knew because someone leaked the story of what happened on Reddit. And so
It's always Reddit.
it's always Reddit. Don't even get me started on Reddit. I'm over all you Reddit people. But someone leaked the story on Reddit, so people already knew. And they were going on my TikTok because most people who are obsessed with DCC are following everyone. And they're also going to go on every live, every video, all the things. So they went on my lives starting November. when I just started, and they're like, how come you're a leader now? And what happened in the Bahamas? Give us the tea. And I would always say the same thing. I'm like, look, guys, it's not my story to tell. When I can, I will tell my story. I will tell the story when I'm allowed to, but I'm not going to tell you people, okay? And I said that response every day, November, December, January, and then we hit March, I believe, after season, and I went on live with my mom, and of course, same things. Mama Bear was definitely there though. I mean, every mom's gonna protect their kid, especially since she knew the behind the scenes of how I was being treated, and I don't think a lot of people know this because I haven't really vocally said anything, but it wasn't just this specific situation of why I felt the way I did towards the organization. It was just because a lot of things were being said to me that year, that kinda threw me for a loop. I was just receiving a lot of negative comments and feedback from staff, and that came out of nowhere. It was just
You
like
weren't used to that.
all in 1 month. It was just, like, negative feedback, and I remember going up to them again and being like, "I feel like I'm being bullied," and I just remember got laughed at, and when I told them that, and they're like, "Ha, ha, ha. That's how you feel, basically." And I was like, "No, but, like, I really do," because people started to see the same thing, like, teammates would come and check in on me, be like, "I don't know why they're doing that to you, why they're saying these things to you." I'm like, "I don't know either."
What on the TikTok, was it a live with you and your mom?
It was a
You
lie.
guys were just talking about the
Mhm.
situation?
And it was right after a practice that we had, and I received probably feedback that I've never heard the whole 4 years that I was there that really just threw me off, that I was like, "Mom, I don't know if I can keep
going.
going," because, like, it's been so much weight on me, and, of course, with the whole Bahama situation that I had to keep hush hush with, I was like, I had that on top of now they're telling me all these negative things, and I feel like I keep coming to them, but they keep on not caring and not seeing, like, me for a human being. And so my mom was already upset just at the organization, not at the situation that actually happened. And so on the live, people were coming on there questioning and saying all the things of, why are you a leader? What happened in Bahamas? Can we talk about a certain person? Like literally someone, it was a Redditor, we found out, but that person specifically went on there to try to break me. And they specifically said it. They went on TikTok and then they started harassing me on TikTok. And after all of this happened, they started commenting and being like, "Do you remember me?" It was like Pretty Little Liars A situation where it was like, "Do you remember me? I was the person that started this whole thing. Like, I knew you were gonna break," kind of thing.
So when you say they were trying to get you to break, what they were just trying to get you to spill more tea?
I guess I really don't even
Did your
know.
mom say anything on the TikTok?
And so my mom, you can tell, like, my mom was more, like I said, mama bear protected.
Yeah.
So when she saw all these things, she's like, "You guys don't even know." Like you don't know the things that are actually happening, and we're not at liberty to tell you. That's basically like what she's saying. And me, I'm like, "All right, mommy," and I'm just like laughing because I do the awkward laugh where I'm like, "I don't know what to do in this situation." Like, "All right, mom." And then the person that was harassing me was just like, "Can we talk about a hypothetical person and a hypothetical place and hypothetically what happened?" And I was like, "Hypothetically, you're messy and no." And from there, like my mom was like, "Hypothetically, I would like to say something." And I was like, "Be quiet." And so in the broad scape of things, people took it as we went on there specifically to talk about that. And I remember getting off the live, and then immediately my mom was like, "The live's on Reddit and people are going crazy." And
What did they, like, save it on there?
yes, they titled it Kaydianna and her mom bullying Shondi. And I was like, that's the teammate. And I was like, bullying? When did for me, I truly try my best whenever I'm in public. Like I said, I did pageants. I worked for the pageant industry. I have kids following me on my social media, so I never want to come across as anything like that because I've been bullied before, and that's my platform as well. As I try to teach girls to stand up for themselves and all the things. And so when they said that, I did take a step back and I was like, well, did I? Like, I went back and I rewatched the live. I made one of those transcript things. I was like, okay, maybe like this part could have been said better. Like, I really deep dived in it, and it was stressing me out. And I was like, my husband was, don't worry about it. Just stop stressing. Reddit people, they make a lot out of nothing. And then I remember that following day, I received a call from Kelly, and it was about the Reddit video. And um, truly, I can't really go into depth about detail on what was said, but all in all, I tried to tell her that I was not bullying. I never said anyone's name. I wasn't even um trying to talk about the situation because truthfully, I couldn't. Because, like I told you, I was lied to a lot, so I don't even know the true story at this point. And she didn't, in my opinion, she didn't really care to hear my side. It was almost as if she was just doing her due diligence of saying, like, you can tell me what you're gonna say, but we already have our decision of what's happening. And I was telling her, I was like, I never said a name. I never said anything negative. Um, I said, I'm so sorry that if there are scenes and clips that made me come across as if I was being negative, I do apologize and I'll take full accountability for that. But other than that, there was no bullying involved.
Mhm.
And
What was their decision?
they suspended me on the spot. And so
And when they suspend you, is it a certain amount of time?
it was just that following day.
Mhm.
So they suspended me. And from there, they basically said that I would know following steps soon.
Okay.
And it was a big shock to me because we were supposed to leave. And when I say we, um, the 8 leaders were supposed to leave for Germany to go on our USO tour that week.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, does that mean I'm not going? I just like, I didn't know. And I was like, okay, like, am I suspended forever? I had no
You
answer.
saw off the phone you were unsure.
Yeah, I had no answers. And at this point, I already felt very defeated because for an organization that you have been with for 4 years, you hope and pray that they would see your heart and who you truly are and believe that over opinions from a website that has already caused drama in the past.
I hate Reddit.
I hate Reddit so much. I wish it would not be a thing, but um whatever person that chopped up the live, whatever person did that did it in a specific way for them to believe that I was negatively speaking about certain people. And so to this day, I think it's been a healing period, of course.
And is that after that, I'm assuming emotionally you were a mess?
Oh, yes. I was
And then is that when you decided to quit?
leave. Yes.
Yeah.
So after everything that happened, so a lot of people just think because I didn't get my way, I left. And that is far from the truth. It's just like the little things that necessarily I can't talk about on top of what did happen, on top of just all the emotions, and mentally I was just not in a good place
Mm.
anymore. And they weren't seeing me as a person at that point. In my opinion, they were just seeing me as like another dancer that would kind of just listen to whatever they say and be a little robot and just do it. And I think me quitting came at a surprise for them as well.
Mhm. And when you decided to leave, did you call them? Did you go in person?
No. So they called me, said I was suspended. I talked with my husband and my parents and a lot of mentors. We prayed over it a lot, and we felt as if this was the time for me to leave because at that point, like I said, I didn't know anything. I wanted to make sure that I left with my head held high and I still had my pride, and that I would still be able to walk away with the memories that I did have.
'Cause you have some amazing
Oh,
memories.
amazing, amazing memories. Like, I loved being a part of that team, so it was probably the hardest thing to say goodbye to because I had it in a death grip. I was like, "I'm never letting go." Um, but, we all felt peace in knowing that, like,
Mhm.
it was God telling me it's time to let go, and
Yeah, and I think about that's gotta be hard on you girls because of social media.
Mhm.
It's almost like a little bit expected to go on lives and to, be that person, be that face for if it's DCC or whatever it is, if you're in the spotlight. But at the same time, when you do lives, it's a lot of pressure sometimes
Yeah.
because if you don't say the exact right
Right.
thing, it can be taken out of context.
Oh, yes, and I think that's what it was as well, and what I'm realizing is I will take accountability where my emotions were definitely there. Like I said, just came out of a practice that the best things weren't said to me, so I definitely was hurt, and a lot of the questions, that I was given, I think one of them was like, "What's, like, the best lesson that you've learned while
Mhm.
being on the team?" And, like, for me at that time, I wasn't thinking about the positive, I was only thinking about what just happened in the negative, and so I know I responded out of just the emotion side of just saying, like, "No, I'm gonna talk about that another time," and so people took it as, like, "Oh, negative things," but honestly, in reality, I think when I was getting into that specific live, I think that was me actually just showing my real emotions that I've been hiding for
Mhm.
a long time. And when you don't put on that perfect face of, "Hi, I'm DCC Kaydianna," and you actually show vulnerability and, like, what actually happens behind the scenes, people take it immediately negative
Mhm.
rather
It's gotta
than
be a lot of pressure.
yeah, rather than just being like, "Oh my goodness, like, she has feelings, she's
She's
also
human.
human. Oh my goodness, who knew? Like,
We
she's
are made
also
I
human."
make mistakes or they make mistakes. Like, you're
Exactly, and
human.
you gotta remember the people behind the organization are also human, so they
100%.
like, everyone here makes mistakes, no one's perfect, and so, obviously, not everything is going to be sunshines and rainbows, and I think people expect that, so when someone finally speaks about it, rather than them being like, "Oh my goodness, she's standing up for herself," and, like, just being vulnerable and
Mhm.
honest, it's, "Oh, she's complaining," or, "Oh, she just wants attention," and why is it for women in front of a camera that if we tell the truth and we wanna stand up for ourselves, it's seen as a negative thing, but for a man, a lot of the time, especially in business, it's like, "Oh, he's a strong leader." Like, "Oh, you should follow after his footsteps."
Uh-huh.
For us, it's like, "Oh, she's complaining and she's drama and she's playing the victim card," and all of these different things, but really it's just emotion.
Uh-huh.
And so
Well, I mean, I'm sorry you went through that. It seems like a lot, but at the same time, I know you're a big believer and you have faith and God, obviously opened and closed some doors for a reason.
yeah.
And I mean, how are you feeling about all of it now?
So much better. If you talked to me back in like June, probably not the greatest feelings, but we're 6 months out now. And I mean, a little further because I did leave in March, but it truly has been a healing journey for me of me finally going back and saying, like, you know what? I'll take accountability. I was reading in the Bible that one scripture was saying that you should always present yourself in I think well, because it's back at the time, so it's present yourself in person the way that you would on a letter. And nowadays, that scripture would be present yourself in person the way you would on social media. And I think I will, take accountability into the fact that if I presented myself on that live in a certain way that people did take out of context, I apologize for, and, I know how to handle those things a little better now. If, things pop up, I know how to use my boundaries and just keep things to myself and keep things in a safe place now rather than just, like, going out and spilling my emotions kinda thing. But I also have learned so much about myself and self-advocacy because I was that people-pleasing person that honestly, if you talk to Ricky Katie and she went through all of this, I probably would have stayed and gone through with it and just accepted my punishment. But now I've just learned that I'm much more and I have more of a voice now. And uh, I recently came across this quote of if you don't value yourself, you're going to let a lot of people take advantage of you. And I think me stepping away from the organization was finally me believing that there was something to fight for and that I had worth um, connected to my name. And I don't think I ever felt that way um, in the organization at times. I just felt like I had to please, please, please. And I always say that it was like almost this styrofoam cup that they would give you. And on the front of it had gratification and compliments, and you're just like asking them and begging them like, please give it to me, please give it to me. But the cup that they gave you also has a hole in the bottom, so even though it seems like they're pouring your cup, it's actually coming out and it never filled your cup. You just always wanted more, no matter what it was. You just wanted to be so seen in their eyes. And I think I definitely figured out I idolized DCC way too much. And I was focused more on how can I please Kelly and Judy than how can I please God through this. Like, I separated myself from God in that. And now that I'm out of DCC, I definitely see it more. And I was so far away from God, even though I wanted to say I wasn't, because I am this woman of faith. But of course, on my platforms, I still shared God, and that's where it stemmed from. But in reality, what I was living out was I wasn't there to please God. I was there to please Kelly and Judy from everything that I wanted. And
But I think that is normal, though.
oh, yes.
I don't think you should put so much pressure on yourself. I think that's I think most of the girls probably feel that way. And
Oh,
I mean, I feel like at
100%.
any job, obviously you want to please God, but you get in the habits of like pleasing your boss or
Oh,
pleasing your
yes.
bosses more. And that's natural. I know that. Just know that, God's forgiven you, and I mean, it's normal that you went through that.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things of him showing me that to a certain extent, like 100% do your best. So
Yeah,
that's what the
yeah.
Bible says. It's like faith without works is dead. So you can't just believe in him. You have to work for it. And like, that's what I did in DCC. But I think I was working a little too much
Yeah.
about the faith part, other than faith aspect of things. And like you said, it is like a normal thing,
It
but
is totally.
it got to a point where it's draining
Yeah.
instead of fun. And when you're out there thinking more about, oh, I hope they like me and I hope I can do this, rather than, oh my gosh, I love to dance. That's when you know like something's off, like the balance is off. And
Right.
you got to check your heart and check yourself. And I just knew that this was the right decision because, I mean, God sent a lot of people in my life after that. Because afterwards, I was like, okay, God, I don't know what I just did. Maybe I can go back. And I had people come up to me and be like, this random woman at church, actually, we went up for prayer and she didn't even know me. And she didn't know what happened or anything because, I mean, the show wasn't out. Nothing was out. I just quit probably that Monday, and then I went to church that Sunday. And she said, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you do or what happened, but God wanted me to tell you that that was the only way you're getting out of that organization. And I think from that moment forward, I was like, immediate peace about the decision. I mean, of course, I had my days where I was like, are you sure? But it was this immediate peace of knowing that he wanted me out for a certain reason, and it was my time to heal.
Your
And
season.
yeah, I had my season. It was great. It was wonderful. But
I know, because I can tell, like, I know this is new and it's probably, hard for you to deal with, but in the beginning of the podcast, I could see like all your joy and like these great memories that you've had of DCC and just the experience.
oh, I mean, if I could go back to little Kaydianna and tell her like, this is where you're gonna be one day, she would look at me in the face and say I'm a liar, because I always felt behind in dance. Like, I never thought I could ever catch up with anybody. And so I think that's why I did focus so much on performance, because I was like, well, if I can't get them technically, maybe performance wise, I can do something. And I just always felt behind, never felt good enough to be like the best dancer. So me getting to be in the best NFL team and getting to do and these amazing events and getting to go to these amazing things, I just never thought I would be able to do in my life.
And the influence of all the little girls.
Oh my goodness, like if I could go back to anything, it would definitely be just camps and spending time with the kids because that's where my heart is. If you ask anybody, they'd be like, "Who's in charge of camps?" Kaydianna. Because that's just where my heart was, and it's always been that way ever since I was a kid. As a kid, I wanted to serve kids. Like, that's just, like, how it was, and, that's the one thing that I do miss the most is just the kids' camps and getting to meet those little girls who I've impacted without even meeting them.
Yeah, seeing their faces when they see you guys,
It's
they light up and they look up at you.
they
Oh, that's
they
so
see the
sweet.
superhero, and you wanna be that superhero for them, and it's just so, so cool. Like, I've had such amazing experiences with just, all the little people. I've had little girls during water breaks draw me pictures of me and say, "This is for you, Miss Gaviana," and tears immediately. But I've had one little girl that I met at camp at Oxnard. That's the football camp that we go to every year, and, we host a kids camp over there, and one little girl always brought me a hair bow every year,
Aw.
and it was specifically for me, and I don't know what I did to deserve it, but she was like, "The first year I came, you're super nice, and now I just wanna give you a bow every year," and so I collected them and put them on my backpack, and
It's great memories.
it's just all those little things that you never take for granted,
Mhm.
especially now that I'm gone, I'm like, "Wow,
It's so
how blessed was I to
Mhm.
get to be a part of
'Cause
something
4 years
so
is a
cool."
long time.
Long time.
The
You
DCC
grow
I
up.
think you said earlier, like, probably average at most might be 6,
Yeah.
or the most was 9.
Most was 9.
Yeah, so
You
4
barely
years
get
is
6 now, but yeah, 4 years, I mean, it's college, it's school, and you learn a lot about yourself during that time, and you grow up, and like you said, it's a season. You grow into seasons, you grow out of seasons,
Absolutely,
so
and you were on the most iconic NFL cheerleading squad
oh, yeah.
that will ever be, no matter if the Cowboys win or lose.
Oh, the
The
cheerleaders were
the
always will be there.
That's always it. That's where
Never
it's at.
fails, we always win, it's great. No matter what, I
So
mean,
cool for you.
they're
I bet your parents were so proud of you.
oh, they are super proud of me, and I would not be here without them. All their sacrifices, money.
Mhm.
Money, advice. I mean, I like I said, I would not be the woman I am without
Mhm.
them, so I'm super blessed and super grateful for them.
That's so neat. I wanted to
Yes.
ask you about your mentor program.
Yes.
Yes.
So, I'm very excited. I've been in this time of just, like, rest and healing. I've just truly been talking with God, saying, like, "What can I do next?" I mean, coming off the high of DCC, it's so hard. You're like, "Okay, how can I still inspire and just spread things across the world?" And what I wanted my message to be, just because coming out of something like that and not necessarily, like, the best of ways, how everyone wants to come out, it was a little tricky, so I was like, "What do you want me to learn from this? I know that you don't do things for nothing, and you always make sure it's for my good. So what's the good?" That had a lot of conversations with him about it, and I think it just kept on coming down to the fact of identity was a huge thing. And he really brought me back to like, "Can you tell me who you are anymore?" Other than DCC Kaydianna, because I mean, for the last 4 years, that's how I introduced myself, that's how people knew me, and it's like, but that's not who I am now, and that's not what I well, even though it was great, that's not what I wanna be connected to is DCC Kaydianna, and he was like, "Okay, then who are you?" And I had no answer. I had no answer for him, and he's like, "Yeah, you don't know who you are because you haven't been planted in my word enough to know who you are. You've been focused on other people's opinions of you. You've been focused on your boss's opinions of you, but the only opinion that matters is the only one that you didn't take." And I was like, "Might be right." Might be right about that. And so he just kept on leading me to just like journaling a lot, and I started writing a bunch, and I was like, "Hmm." I keep on coming across, like, different lessons and different things that I've learned that across my time as a dancer that I've lost, like, my identity, confidence, finding ways of being just kind of separating your passion and your identity was a really hard thing for me because a lot of times they intertwine, and then sometimes you just kind of lose yourself all in all. And so with my mentoring program, I created this curriculum that is just a 8-week program that breaks down different lessons of how you can find your true identity, but also how you can campaign for yourself. Because I always like to tell my girls, I'm like, well, have you ever seen someone that's running for president say that they don't like themselves and they don't think that they have the best hair and they're actually not the best candidate, but vote for me? Like, do you see that? No, they're campaigning for themselves because they believe in themselves and they see the worth in what they can give. And I think that we should all start viewing our lives in the same way, whether you are running for president, whether you're running to be a dancer, whether you're running to be an actress, whether you're running to be a podcast host, like whatever it is, that you don't start with how I can become the greatest podcast host or the greatest dancer. You start with, who am I? What do I love about myself and what my worth is actually in, and then campaign that way. And then people are going to see truly who you are, while you also get to spread your love for hosting, while you also get to spread your love for dance. Like, you're not just a dancer. And so that's kind of what my mentoring program is all about.
That what age group?
So I'll have 3 different age groups. I might expand. We're just gonna see. But right now, middle school, high school, and then I want to do a more young adults. I would just say collegiate, but I have been spending a lot of time with 24-year-olds, 25-year-olds who are going for the pro world or just regular world, honestly. So young adults as well. So 18 and up. And kind of going from there. So I'll have 10 all the way up to hopefully 26.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But I can see, like, seeing all the positive that happened to you for those 4 years at DCC, and then even the struggles that you went through at the end, you'll be able to take your experiences and really help so many people, whatever journey that they're about to step into.
Thank you. That's
Especially
a
finding
lot.
their own, like you said, like their identity. I
Mhm.
think that's gonna be really helpful for them.
Thank you. I really hope so. Every pain has a purpose. So it's just
Pretty good.
thank you. It's just one of those things when you focus so much on the pain, you can't see the purpose. But it's honestly just in the valleys, God is just kind of pruning you into the person you're supposed to be. And I always like saying that a lot of people say like pressure is a privilege, right? But I'm like, it depends on the pressure that you're receiving. It really does. Yeah, it depends on the pressure that you're receiving. There's worldly pressure and there's godly pressure. Pressure from the world's going to lead you to anxiety and stress and not seeing yourself clearly. But pressure from God is going to actually build you up. It's going to hurt. Pressure is pressure, but it's going to hurt, but it's actually molding you into what he wants you to be. And I want to make sure that I'm spreading that and for people to know that when you're going the godly pressure route, that you're becoming exactly who you're supposed to be, even in the pain, And it's always brighter on the other side.
That's amazing. And when is this mentor program launching?
So we're going to launch early 2026. So I'm shooting for probably February, early February. And yeah, so I'm super excited.
It's really neat. And, I started looking you up on TikTok. I was like, oh my gosh, she has so many followers.
I mean, it was a journey. This just started in COVID, kind of worked its way up. Still working on it. I took a little social media break just so I can,
Of course.
figure out. My biggest thing is if I'm gonna do this, and I want to do it right. Of course, everyone, you want to do it right. But in this journey, if I wanted to do this, I wanted to do it right, honestly. And I knew that everything that I was presenting to people was for people's opinions. So I was trying to fight for myself and be like, I'm not who you say I am or what Netflix is showing. And then, or I would make videos being like, you keep calling me a bully and all this stuff, but I'm not.
It's hard to like not listen to the audience.
So hard. But then you're also like, I got to keep up with trends and I got to do it this way because this person's doing it and she has 1 million followers. And you get to that point where you're not doing it because you're truly showing yourself and your identity. You're doing it because you're trying to get the money. And I get it. But I feel like there is a way that you can have both. And I wasn't doing it for the right reasons. And so that's why I just took a step back and I said, all right, God, like, what do you want me to do with this? And like, how are you going to guide me to posting on my platforms again? If it's supposed to be, God's going to put his favor on it and send it to the right people. That's all I hope for. And that's what I always say is like, God, no matter what I'm going to do, I hope they see you rather than me. I'm just his vessel and he's using me. So any praise goes to him, not myself. And I think that's another reason why I stopped social media is because I was craving that praise. Same thing with DC, like I talked about, I was craving that praise and I wasn't giving the praise back to God. And so that's
my
what I'm hoping
advice,
for.
like a mommy advice, is don't be so hard on yourself
Yeah.
and just, take in all this good that's happened to you. And you may not have left the way you wanted to or, whatever, but you're going to look back on this in a couple of years and you're going to be like, oh, I get it. That's why all this happened because God has your back. And I can't wait to about your mentor program. If you need any
Thank
help
you.
or like guidance or anything,
Yes, I need
I would
all of
love to do that. Like I was a former coach, like I loved mentoring kids.
Please, I would bring it anyone. I'm trying to soak in all the business things right now. I'm like, help, where do I start? Where do I start? It's like I have the backbone, but then I'm like, okay, so what do I do with this?
And I do want to ask so you could tell everybody where can everybody find you on all the socials?
Yes. So, of course, I have Instagram and TikTok, and both of those are Kaydianna MacKenzie. Do have a Facebook. I'm still young and hip. I have a Facebook. That one's Kaydianna Davis Garza. And then I have my website, which is also KaydiannaMacKenzie.com. So you'll find everything there. I'm revamping everything. So be a whole new me soon.
Excited. Well,
Yeah.
it's been so fun having you on. I'm glad we finally did this because I've wanted to have a former DCC cheerleader on since I've started podcasting. So this has been such a joy. And I'm glad you're able to tell your story as well.
Thank you.
That's great. I know your husband and your parents are very proud of you. And most importantly, God is proud of you. And I'm so happy that you came on.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
If you really enjoyed the podcast, you can follow me on all the things at the Amy Plus Podcast. And we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.